Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mahavidya Arts Navarathri celebration for day 3. We shall just give some time for a few more members to join in our live. I welcome everyone for Navarathri Day 3 celebrations with Mahavidya Arts today. Today is a very special topic that we are going to talk about. But before that, we will have a short prayer. Om Har Har Namah Parvati Padaye Har Har Mahadeva தென்னாடுடைய சிவனே போற்றி எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி காவாய் கனகதரலே போற்றி கைலை மலையானே போற்றி போற்றி ஸ்ரீ கற்பக விநாயகம் பஜே மகா கணபதே சாரதா பீட்டநிலே ஜெகதம்பிகே ஸ்ரீ வள்ளிதேவ சேனாதிபதே நமோ நமः சிவ சிவ சுப்பிரமணியோஹம் ஓம் குரு பிரம்மா குரு விஷ்ணு குரு தேவோ மகேஸ்வர குரு சாக்ஷாத் பரபிரம்ம தஸ்மை ஸ்ரீ குரவே நமः குரவே சர்வலோகானாம் விஷஜே பவரோகிணாம் நிதயே சர்வ வித்யானாம் ஸ்ரீ தட்சிணாமூர்த்தி பரமகுரவே நமோ நமः दक्षिणमूर्ताय विद्महे ध्यानहस्ताय धीमहि तन्नो दीक्ष प्रचोदयात् ओम आदित्याय च सोमाय मंगलाय बुधाय च गुरु शुक्र शनिभ्यश्च राघवे केतवे नमः ओम आदित्याय च सोमाय मंगलाय बुधाय च गुरु शुक्र शनिभ्यश्च राघवे केतवे नमः ओम आदित्याय सोमाय मंगलाय बुधाय च गुरु शुक्र शनिभ्यश्च राघवे केतवे नमः ओम श्रीमात्रे नमः. Once again, I welcome all of you for our Navaratri Day 3 celebrations. Today, on the mystical goddess and the Navagrahas, we are going to discuss and listen to kritis that are relating to Rahu, the north node of the moon. Why Rahu is associated with the moon? Because the details of this north node will be now discussed and presented to you by Miss Ragini Sadasivam. She's going to give you a very brief explanation and the Purana stories about how Rahu is connected with the goddess. I welcome Ragini Sadasivam. Vanakkam Ragini.
Vanakkam. Thank you, teacher. Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Ragini here, and I'll be presenting about Rahu tonight. Okay, Rahu, not lunar node, is the 8th planet of the 9 major celestial bodies, Navagrahas, in Hindu texts. Rahu is a shadow entity, one that causes eclipses and is the king of meteors. Besides that, Rahu represents the ascension of the moon and its presential orbit around the Earth. Rahu is usually paired with Ketu, which is also considered to be a shadow planet. Shanivat Rahu. According to this, Rahu also gives the same impact as Saturn. Astronomically, Rahu and Ketu denote the points of intersection of the paths of the Sun and the Moon as they move on the celestial sphere, just like this. You can see the image here. Therefore, Rahu and Ketu are called the North and South lunar nodes. The eclipses occur when the Sun and the Moon are on one of these points gives rise to the understanding of swallowing the sun and the Moon by the snake. What I mean by here is Rahu is actually the North lunar nodes. On the other hand, Ketu is the South lunar node. So hence, Rahu is responsible for causing the eclipse of the Sun. So you can actually see here. All right. So before moving on, let's see who is Rahu. Rahu is called as Swarna Banu, son of Sinkhya, who denied to be a Graha and earned a boon from Brahma. Rahu was a student of Sakracharya who wasn't too fond of Lord Vishnu. He prayed to Shiva and attained the Mahamantra of Sanjivini, through which he invoked all the Asuras to attack the Devas. And it's called the War of Yin and Yang. I'm pretty sure you have come across this concept of yin and yang, right? I'm so sorry, I didn't actually attach the picture here, but I hope you guys actually understand what is yin and yang. So he wasn't a create of Brahma designed to be in our realm. He was also forced upon on obsession and male-fit actions. So let's go through what is war of yin and yang. It's meant to be in our Hindu Puranas. Moving on. Okay, Rahus Rule in Puranic texts or stories. The tale begins in the remotest periods of prehistoric time when the gods and asuras churned the milk ocean to extract from it the Amrita, which is the elixir of immortality. So actually there's a lot of Purana stories in this, which also includes the birth of Lakshmi and etc. Okay, and the incarnations of Lord Vishnu, his different forms of it. All right. So here we can actually see underneath there's actually okay. Can you see one part of it is actually the asuras, and the other part of it is actually the devas. Okay, Rahu was present at the time and overcome with pride. Mohini, the female avatar of Vishnu, one of the avatar of Vishnu, started distributing Amrit to the Devas instead of the Asuras. So, however, one Devya, which was Svarbhanu, which is also known as the Rahu, and Ketu, the both of them. Okay, initially it's Svarbhanu, and then only they will be separated into two, which is Rahu and Ketu. Okay, so actually Svarbhanu was sitting in a row of Devdas, and he drank the Amrit, which he supposed he shouldn't be doing this because he's actually Asura. And then, can you see this picture here I have shared here? This is actually the avatar of Vishnu, which is called as the Mohini. And those are the people of Asuras. Okay, so why our Vishnu actually took this avatar was just to distract the Asuras from drinking the elixir, which is the Amrita. Okay, so what happened was, however, one day, the sun god Sukran and the moon god Chandran noticed him and they informed Mohini. And you would actually ask me how did they actually notice him? Actually, what Svarbhanu actually did was he went and sat in between of the sun and the moon. So that's how they caught him. All right. So, however, by that time, Svarbhanu had already become immortal because he had already drank the Amrita till his neck. All right. So, Vishnu as Mohini cut off Svarbanu's head with Sudarshan Chakra. You can see the next picture here. This is Mohini, and she's actually cutting off Svarbanu's head with a Sudarshan Chakra. So Rahu and Ketu could not die, which is the Svarbanu couldn't die, but his head was separated from his body, and his head came to known as Rahu, while his body came to known as Ketu. If you can still remember what I told you earlier, right, on our very first day about Ketu, Ketu is actually the headless shadow, isn't it? So here, Rahu is actually the head. It's a person who have been cut into two, and they can't actually die. That is what it says by Immortal. So the head part, it becomes Rahu, and the entire body part, it becomes Ketu. So if you can see the third picture here, the picture with the tail is actually Ketu, and the picture with the head is like snake type, right? So that's Rahu. Following this event, Rahu and Ketu were given the responsibility to influence the lives of humans, us, on Earth. Let's see how they're actually affecting our lives. Okay, Hindu astrology, Rahu. Rahu represents materialism, mischief, fear, dissatisfaction, obsession, and confusion. Rahu is also associated with politicians and occult sciences. Like Ketu, Rahu is also an enemy against the sun and the moon. It is generally considered as the malefic planet in the astrology. Okay, the next one. Why is Rahu so important in our lives? Why we need Rahu? So, if you are to place some karma to that planet, this planet in this lifetime, you are skipping that, and then what's going to happen? It's going to move forward to the next life. That means if you're paying the karma off with the planetary negative results, and this was your last thing that you were just to get moksha, now you push it to another lifetime. And especially if you believe in the cycle of karmas, spending the 4 types of karmas. Okay, and moving on, the next one, you will get the results of 50 lifetimes. It's not 1 or 2, it's actually 50 lifetimes into this life. So just count all your deeds, whether it's the good or whether it's the bad. Okay, so whatever you did on the past 50 lifetimes ago, it's actually repeating again and again. So whatever you did on the past 50 lifetimes ago, you'll get results in this life. So let's see an example, just a short example from the story of Dhritarashtra. It's in the Mahabharata story. It's one part of it. Okay. For example, the story of Dhritarashtra on how he lost his 100 sons and he was blind. But his wife, Gandhari, sacrificed her eyesight by blindfolding herself, hence she couldn't see. Do you think we would ever go through like this if husbands are blind? Do you ever think that we would be like blindfolded? I actually thought it. Okay, so why he was blind? Let's see. So 50 on his story, 50 lifetime ago, he threw a burning net on a tree where there were a female and a male bird. And they had 100 birds as their children. They all were burned and died, but the mother bird and the father bird were able to escape, but due to the smoke, they became blind. So there's an example that no matter what deed you're doing now, remember it's going to hunt you back again. Just like what happened to Dhritarashtra's story. Actually, Dhritarashtra's 100th son actually passed away too. Okay. Okay, Rahu creates confusion. Just like what am I supposed to be doing? What am I not being able to find? There's an error here, I'm so sorry. It's supposed to be 2. Find a single direction in life. Or whatever confusions or whatever questions that you have daily, it's also due to Rahu. Okay? So Rahu is actually a very creative person. What I mean creative here is Rahu is shaking you up as it's trying to build different colors out of you. What I mean by different colors out of you is the talents or the knowledge that you are gaining every day. Okay, so confusion comes in because you're designed to be on the path. So Rahu is trying to make you creative and innovative. So whenever you're confused, don't be afraid. It's just that you need to find a way to be creative and innovative on your own way. Okay, so it makes you think that that's more than just this one systematic system. So Rahu thought out on every single human being, on every one of us. He is in every single living entity because every single entity has a chart as soon as we were born. So Rahu is in our birth chart. So this means each one of us actually can be a very creative person, but we just need to find a way to. So Rahu will be needed, and the Asura is going to be needed to wake up certain people or to wake up people by themselves. This is the reason why Rahu is also called as the planet that thinks differently and works against the social norms of society. So what I mean by social norms of society here is actually we were born and then we were actually taught to be successful in our lives, right? In a different way for each one of us. But what we are actually going through is we go for schooling and then we are going for college, we're getting a degree and master's, PhD, as it's just going on as a social norms, whereby we are so into like people's opinion, in a way of like each one of us have their own opinion of successful. So just try to get what means successful to you and work towards it. And what is your purpose in this life and work towards it. Okay? So, and what Rahu does here is when you're moving more into this, actually, it's actually relating to physics as well. So, have you ever come across the third law of motion, which is called the Newton's law? When two objects interact, they apply forces to each other of equal magnitude and opposition reactions. For example, when you're so into the social norms of society, right? Let's say there's two forces. So let me explain the forces first. So when, let's say you're having pull and push forces moving towards your right, but there's another force which is actually acting against to it, right? If you could recall that, it's called the frictional force, isn't it? So by that, it's actually balancing the moving object. So just like that, in our life, we are more into our social norms of society, whether it can be your opinions or whether it can be your desires or whatever it is. So whenever the social norms of society is actually moving towards right, Rahu is actually pulling you towards left. So that is what it's mean here by balancing it. Okay. So Rahu is about innovation. Because once you're actually creative, you will tend to innovate many new things. Okay. So Rahu represents illusion and it's Maya. Maya in Tamil, but illusion is the illusion. Okay? You're in particular metrics where you call it as digital world or the one that we are experiencing now. Because we are in digital era now, isn't it? So Rahu is magic because magic is illusion. Anything that can fool people is called Rahu. Rahu represents our future karmas. Meanwhile, Kedu is our past life. Okay, so the karmas that you were going to create in this life through Kedu. That's what we meant here. All right. So Rahu is shortcut. So if you're really into a lot of shortcuts, the shortcuts I meant here is not just not like in cheating your exams or whatever. Even on the road, actually there's a lot of ways to reach a destiny, right? So instead of like moving forward to a long destiny, you actually knew the shortcut to the road to reach a destiny in a shortcut time. So actually Rahu is playing a role in that. Yeah, be aware of it. Next one. Rahu represents glamour, attention, and fame because Rahu hunts for praises. So if you're really more into praises, then Rahu is actually ruling you. Okay. Rahu represents addiction as its obsessions with things. The things here, I think I've already mentioned this during our Kedu's presentation as well. The obsessions can be just like gadgets, like your phones, laptops, or even food, as what teacher was telling on the other day. So why Rahu is actually playing a role in food is because it doesn't have an obstacles, so it can't actually digest food. Meanwhile, whenever you eat and eat and eat, when a person doesn't have it, when Rahu eats and eats and eats, it doesn't have the word to say food. So in that moment, Ketu is actually helping Rahu to say that it's actually full. And by that only, we are actually experiencing few diseases in our life. Okay. So Rahu also represents material things in like umbrellas, camera, sunglasses. I doesn't mean reading glass here, okay? So that as anything that shades out the sun. For example, it's a sunny day and you're just bringing umbrellas out. So the umbrella is actually the Rahu that you're holding, okay? That's what they meant here. So besides that, it also acts as the atmosphere of the earth. Rahu are people who always trying to get high up, meaning who are trying to build skyscrapers. So for example, let's take an example of skyscrapers is Burj Khalifa, which is in Dubai, right? So as you go higher and higher and higher, the temperature will be changing, the temperature is quite different compared to the people who are down on the land, right? And there's another thing that's really, it's amazing about Burj Khalifa is the time zone. So the time zone, when you're up there in Burj Khalifa, it's actually different, no? Compared to when you're on the land down there, below it. So yeah, research about it if you want to know more about it. Okay, the next one. Rahu also represents outer space, which is aerospace, astronauts, and etc. Rahu's direction is west and southwest. Rahu is anything that exports, ocean, and tourism too. Rahu's Dasa period is 18 years, just like Ketu's. Okay, moving on. The three powerful nakshatras that rules Rahu are Atra, which is also called Tiruvadire in Tamil, or Swati, and the last, Sadashvisha, which is also called as Sadayam. All right. So before moving on, I would like to say, hence, this is why Lord Vishnu knew that people are going to need Rahu to break out the system. The system I mean here is the social norms that would be created by certain things. That's the reason why Lord Vishnu didn't stop Rahu and Ketu from drinking the elixir, which means he already knew, he already planned it. All right. So Lord Vishnu wanted us to accept Rahu as an eternal being and eclipse of sun. That's the reason why Lord Vishnu waited till Rahu came and sat in between sun and moon. So now you would know why there's eclipse of sun and eclipse of moon. Because your mind and soul will be affected by the negative entity that is on this planet and breaks out of the negative entity, you will need to go against the social norm that has created on this planet. Which means don't be more into what people are saying and other people's opinion. If you really have a purpose and you have a passion on doing something, just go ahead. All right. And that's why Rahu and Ketu are so important in our life. So let's embrace them and don't be afraid of them. All right. So moving on, we will see the temples that's dedicated for Rahu is called Rahu Salam, located in Tirunadeswaram, a village in the outskirts of Kumbakonam, which is in South India. In this temple, Shiva is worshipped as Naganadar and Parvati is depicted as Pirisuri Amman. If you can see the third picture here, this is the picture. The presiding deity is revered in the 7th century. The Devaram, this Tamil Saiva work, is written by the Nayanas. Rahu Salam is also classified as Padal Petrata Stalam, and Rahu Salam is called as Sri Naganada Swami Temple. Main feature of Naganada Swami Temple is the Lord Rahu is seen with human face. So this is the picture of Lord Rahu with the human face. And also the second picture, the middle picture is shown the temple, Sri Naganada Swami Temple. All right. So by this, I would like to say, I hope you have a clear understanding about Rahu and Ketu for now. But do research more about them because there's a lot of stories about them. So thank you very much for listening. And I'll pass this show back to.
Thank you very much, Ragini. Like what Ragini did mention in her presentation, Rahu is a nod that is supposed to make us like a king. That is why it's called as a kingmaker. And how it's actually related to goddess, divine mother, is the moon element here is referred to the divine feminine energy, and the sun is represented as the divine masculine energy. So it's a Shiva Shakti concept. In some mythologies, they also take Venus and Mars as the masculine and the feminine. But in our Hindu Shastras, it says that the Shiva element is seen through the sun, which is the soul, and the mind is seen through the moon element, which is depicting the divine mother herself. So today we will hear Kavina Murali singing Smaramyaham Sada Rahum, Rahu Kriti, composed by Sri Muthuswami Dikshidhar, set to Ragam Ramapriya and Talam Rupakam.
Namaskaram, I'm Kavina Murali. Today I'll be singing Smaramyaham Sada Rahum in Ragam Ramapriya, set to Rupakatani. Shurpasana Shulayudadaram Smarramyaham Sada करालवदनं कटिं कयानान करुणाद्रा करालवदनं कटिं कयानान करुणाद्रा पाण्डं चतुर्भुजं कर्ककीटादिधरणं करालवदनं कटिं कयानान करुणाद्रा पाण्डं चतुर्भुजं कर्ककीटादिधरणं चर्मादिनीलवस्त्रं गोमेदकाभरणं चर्मादिनीलवस्त्रं गोमेदकाभरणं शनिशुक्रमित्रगुरुगुह सन्तोषकरणं स्मराम्यहम् चर्मादिनीलवस्त्रं गोमेदकाभरणं शनिशुक्रमित्रगुरुगुह सन्तोषकरणं स्मराम्यहं सदा राहुं सूर्यचन्द्र वीक्षणकृतदेहं स्मराम्यहं सदा
Thank you very much, Ms. Kavina Murali. This kriti, or in fact all the Navagraha kritis, are very closely connected to our internal body system. Why I'm saying this? Because the Navagrahas have got specific nakshatras. Altogether, we have 27 nakshatras in our system. And these 27 nakshatras are actually seated in our body parts. So when we are singing these kritis or listening to these kritis, these nakshatras are actually being activated, or it will start to receive the frequency that is being emitted by the song itself. So the raga that Sri Muthuswami Dikshit chose, and the song lyrics will play its role in our system, where it will start to actually cleanse the karmic debts that is being stored in our body. Some of us do experience body part aching, body aches, headaches. It's all because of the karma that is being stored in those areas, which is visible in your natal chart or your birth chart. So by understanding the planetary system and how our spiritual journey with Goddess helps us to actually heal ourselves, brings great joy in elevating actually our ancestors, because we are the incarnation of our ancestors that we have taken births after births, like what Ragini mentioned, 50 lifetimes. So when we are doing certain karmic deeds, karmic here it is referred to as our daily actions, our daily routine work. So when we are doing these kind of activities, we have to be very mindful of how we are executing these duties, because it is actually activating all the different, the 9 different planets in our own system itself. So as we purify ourselves, we are actually getting connected with the cosmos, which is the Prabanja Sakti. So the Prabanja Sakti here is defined as universe, is defined as Mother Earth, is defined as God. So in each individual, how we are addressing these Prabanja Sakti, It is what we are supposed to be actually connecting with to purify ourselves and to elevate the soul so that the next birth that it's going to take or it's about to take will be a fruitful one. So that the next lineage do not go through the difficulties or the obstacles that we have been going through in our journey throughout this lifetime. Today, in our junior segment, we have Someshwaran Kumaravelu. He'll be presenting a bhajan on goddess Kali called Kali Maheshwari.
Maheshwari Parvati Shankari Sharanam 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 Amma Kali Maheshwari Parvati Shankari Sharanam 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 Amma Durga Dinashini Durga Jaya Jaya Durga Dinashini Durga Jaya Jaya Kala Vinashini Kali Jaya Jaya Kala Vinashini Kali Jaya Jaya Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya Rama Brahmani Jaya Jaya Radha Sita Rukmani Jaya Jaya Radha Sita Rukmani Jaya Jaya Kali Maheshwari Parvati Shankari Sharanam 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 Amma Ani Veena Pani Jaya Jaya Pani Veena Pani Jaya Jaya Bhageshwari Jagadishwari Jaya Jaya Bhageshwari Jagadishwari Jaya Jaya Vidyarubini Vishwavimohini Vidyarubini Vishwavimohini Varadehim Kari Shri Lalite Varadehim Kari Shri Lalite Kali Maheshwari Parvati Shankari Sharanam 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 Amma Sharanam 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 Amma Sharanam 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 Amma
Thank you very much, Someshwaran Kumaravelu. This is a special request from my wonderful parents. Today I'll be singing a short song on Lalita called Sri Chakra Raja. Shri Chakraraja Simhasaneshwari Shri Lalita Ambigaye Shri Chakraraja Simhasaneshwari Shri Lalita Ambigaye भुवनेश्वरी आगम वेद कलामय रूपिणी आगम वेद कलामय रूपिणी अखिल सदाक्षर जननी नारायणी नागगङ्गण नटराज मनोहरी नागगङ्गण नटराज मनोहरी ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी श्रीचक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्रीललिताम्बिकये பலவிதமாயுனை ஆடவும் பாடவும் பலவிதமாயுனை ஆடவும் பாடவும் பாடிக்கொண்டாடும் அன்பர் பதமலர் சூடவும் பலவிதமாயுனை ஆடவும் பாடவும் பாடிக்கொண்டாடும் அன்பர் பதமலர் சூடவும் உலகம் முழுதும் எனது அகமுற காணவும் உலகம் முழுதும் எனது அகமுற காணவும் ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ சக்கரராஜ சிம்ஹாசனேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ லலிதாம்பிகையே உழன்று திரிந்த என்னை உத்தமனாக்கி வைத்தாய் உழன்று திரிந்த என்னை உத்தமனாக்கி வைத்தாய் உயரிய பெரியோருடன் ஒன்றிட கோட்டி வைத்தாய் உழன்று திரிந்த என்னை உத்தமனாக்கி வைத்தாய் உயரிய பெரியோருடன் ஒன்றிட கூட்டி வைத்தாய் நிழலென தொடர்ந்த முன்னுள் கொடுமையை நீங்க செய்தாய் நிழலென தொடர்ந்த முன்னுள் கொடுமையை நீங்க செய்தாய் நித்ய கல்யாணி பவானி பத்மேஸ்வரி நித்ய கல்யாணி பவானி பத்மேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ சக்கரராஜ சிம்ஹாசனேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ லலிதாம்பிகையே புவனேஸ்வரி துன்பப்புடத்திலிட்டு தூயவனாக்கி வைத்தாய் துன்பப்புடத்திலிட்டு தூயவனாக்கி வைத்தாய் தொடர்ந்து உன் மாயம் நீக்கி பிறந்த பயனை தந்தாய் தொடர்ந்து உன் மாயம் நீக்கி பிறந்த பயனை தந்தாய் அன்பை புகட்டி உந்தன் ஆடலை காண செய்தாய் அன்பை புகட்டி உந்தன் ஆடலை காண செய்தாய் அடைக்கலம் நீயே அம்மா அடைக்கலம் நீயே அம்மா அகிலாண்டேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ சக்கரராஜ சிம்ஹாசனேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ லலிதாம்பிகையே புவனேஸ்வரி ஆகம வேத கலாமய ரூபிணி அகில சராக்ஷர जननी नारायणी नाग कंगन नटराज मनोहरी नाग कंगन नटराज मनोहरी ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललितांबिके This was a very special song composed by Sri Agasthyar on goddess Lalitambika in Tirumiyachur in Kerala, Tamil Nadu. I thank you all for being very patient, and I hope this Navarathri presentations, the students' performance are very satisfying for you all as well as informative for you all in gaining knowledge, because Navaratri is not just merely a musical celebration, but it's a time to actually expand our knowledge on our Hindu Shastras as well as learning about the goddess herself, because the goddess embodiment is all within us, whether male or female. She resides within us as the Kundalini Shakti. So I thank you all for being very patient and being so attentive and hearing us. Thank you very much. We will conclude with Shanti Mantra. Om Asato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo ba Amradam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamida Purnat Purnamudachyade Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I thank you all once again. I hope to see you all tomorrow for Navaratri Day 4. Tomorrow's topic will be on Suryan, the sun planet, our soul. So stay tuned and hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have a blessed night and Hari Om.